This one is Brendan Donovan related from at Skylar L. Clifton. Cardinal fan here. There have been a lot of rumors about Brendan Donovan. Who do you see as potential trade partners, and what do you think a realistic package would be? I wrote down every team with a pulse should be a realistic trade partner for Brendan Donovan. There's nothing that this guy can't do for your favorite baseball team.
I have 3 trade proposals with 3 teams that I think it makes sense to go add a Brendan Donovan. And I think it's important to know that if you're trading for Brendan Donovan, what you're getting is just a sound baseball player. Doesn't strike out, takes his walks. You're rarely going to see a bad AB from Brendan Donovan. He's not going to supply a ton of power. It's not the sexiest offensive profile, but when Brendan Donovan is up, you're going to get a good AB. He's going to run through the pitch count. He's going to smack a double. He's going to hit the ball the other way, and he'll even spray some home runs. And on top of it, he's going to play elite second base defense. Now, the one thing about Brendan Donovan that I hear all the time, and I think even I've mentioned this in the past, but the more I've watched him, the more I'm kind of going away from the take, is that he's this ultimate Swiss Army knife, that he's this utility guy that can play so many different positions. He was an average to below average defender in left and a great defensive second baseman last year. When you bring in Brendan Donovan, he can go play left, but you'd prefer to have him as your primary second baseman. So I think when I think Brendan Donovan, I think elite defensive second baseman who's a very, very solid bat. And you're getting him for pretty cheap because he's still in arbitration right now, making about like less than $6 million. And you have him for 4 years, or at least 3 years, and then arbitration. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but he's a really solid player. Not a superstar. I wouldn't even call him a star, but he's a fan favorite in St. Louis for a reason. Just a really, really good baseball player. So I came up with 3 different trades. Before I do, did you write down a list of names, or you basically just said everybody should trade for him?
Everybody with a pulse. I wrote a couple of names as well. I have 4 teams. Seattle could be a really good fit.
I did not have a trade for Seattle, but I could see it, especially if Polanco leaves. But again, they have Cole Young. So are you bringing in a second baseman?
You could bring in Brendan Donovan, ask him to play third, and have Ben Williamson sit on the bench.
Yeah, he just hasn't played a lot of third, but I'm sure he could
plays everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sure he can figure it out.
Play literally everywhere. It just seems like an upgrade from what they had in Dylan Moore for a while.
The reason I didn't include him is because I was like, they don't need a second baseman.
Sure.
But yeah, I get that.
San Francisco is an interesting fit.
Yeah.
I also had Boston, and I had Kansas City.
I had Kansas City as well. I also had 2 more names, and I think the most interesting of the other names that I mentioned are the Guardians. The Guardians have been linked, and I came up with a trade proposal. What do you think about sending St. Louis, Parker Messick, and Juan Brito in exchange for Brendan Donovan? You replace some of that second base with Juan Brito, who came up and did pretty well, but I think his upside is a little bit capped. And Parker Messick, who came up and was brilliant, a young pitcher. That'd be a great piece in that Brendan Donovan trade. Too much, too little, feels right.
There's just no sex appeal in any aspect of that.
That's why those trades tend to happen.
I know. Messick would add to the gluttony of 5 starters that St. Louis has, and I don't know if they feel like they're getting tangibly better. What?
Is he 5? I think. He came up and he was
he throws 90 miles an hour.
I mean, yeah. Again, he's not going to blow you away, but you could still be a good pitcher in this league.
I think he's
not throwing gas.
I think he's a 5 starter. At best, I think he's a good 4.
Yeah, I think he's probably I guess I have him as like a middle 3 guy in a rotation where if he started a playoff game for me in a few years, I'd still feel pretty good about it.
I just don't know if there are a lot of worlds where I don't feel good about Parker Messick starting a playoff game for me in a few years. So
you think it's not enough? I think Juan Brito's a pretty good player too.
It's probably not enough only because Brendan Donovan has 2 years of arbitration left at $6-ish million and then at
Yeah.
$9-ish million. So
Oh yeah, it's a good price.
is Parker Meadows and Parker Messick and Juan Brito enough for 2 years, $15 million for a guy with a 117 WRC plus and a 3-WAR player? I don't think so.
But again, those numbers don't jump off the table. And I'm a Brendan Donovan guy, but a 117 WRC plus and a 3-win player, like, you're not trading the world for this guy. And I think Parker Messick is as solid as they come if we're talking about young pitchers.
I think you need more.
Brito,
Yeah, I think if you swapped Messick for Joey Cantillo, I think that gets St. Louis more interested.
A little more upside with Cantillo. Yeah. I could see that being pushed across.
Okay. The only thing about Cleveland is they have Bazana sitting there in AAA, and they are incredibly left-handed.
I know. That's why I was surprised at the Guardians, but they've been linked now in multiple articles. So I was like, Yeah. They clearly want him for something. Maybe it's not to play second base. Maybe it's to play a different position. But if they're linked, I'm creating mocks.
It's interesting. What else?
The Royals, I think it was a good one. The trade package that I proposed, Ryan Bergert and Blake Mitchell.
Yeah. Yes.
Because
send it in, Jerome.
Blake Mitchell is a big-time prospect, but he's coming off a pretty down season. I mean, I checked the numbers. You would know more about the context to those numbers than me. But a 710 OPS when you already have Carter Jensen as like your catcher of the future. I know it's important to keep these guys. I get it. But if you're bringing in Brendan Donovan and the Royals actually absolutely have a need for a second baseman and also a guy just to get on base in front of Bobby Witt Jr., like, this is the perfect guy. You go lefty, righty, Brendan Donovan, then Bobby Witt Jr. at the front of the lineup. Like, and then you have Carter Jensen and you have other guys in the lineup who will, Jack Haglione, you can hopefully bang. Bergert was traded from San Diego to Kansas City and put up a really solid campaign with the Royals. Right? He's 25, 26 years old. He's got a walk problem, but he's still someone you can buy into. And then Blake Mitchell, you hope he kind of rebounds from this season and regains that high prospect pedigree that he had. I really like this deal.
Mitchell was pretty hurt this year. He also had a 390 OBP. He's a good defensive catcher as well. There's a lot to like with Blake Mitchell, and I feel like St. Louis would welcome a catcher prospect in with open arms because they are trying to figure out exactly what goes on at the catching position. They felt like they had an answer in Wilson Contreras. He plays first base now. They felt like they had an answer in Ivan Herrera. He plays DH / kind of left field now. So they need somebody that can catch for the foreseeable future. And why can't Blake Mitchell be that guy for St. Louis? I love that deal.
Last one, the Yankees are linked to Brendan Donovan. And I think the idea would be moving Jazz Chisholm back over to third base and having Brendan Donovan be your second baseman and then just kind of like dealing with Ryan McMahon after that trade.
Yeah.
And that makes sense to me. Like, if the Yankees really want to go for it, and Hal Steinbrenner came out and he says the Yankees aren't making any profits and he wants to lower the payroll, which I almost like physically crashed out. I'm so glad I wasn't on the podcast the next day. I'm fine now, but I got so pissed because that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But regardless, Brendan Donovan, very cheap, and all you have to give up are prospects. So I thought, give him Will Warren. Will Warren's still coming off 166 innings this year. It's hard for a pitcher to, maintain a really solid ERA, but he's clearly got good stuff. It's just about being consistent. And I think that would be a good arm sent over to the Cardinals way. Why are you laughing?
Hard for a pitcher to maintain a solid ERA. I love how you're spinning
first
this.
Year, 166 innings.
Yeah, no, keep
it's
going.
True.
Yeah,
nothing I said.
It's so hard for a guy to be good all the time when he throws that much.
All right, maybe I didn't phrase that correctly. And then I'll throw him Thatcher Hurd. On our top 10 Yankees prospects, he was number 11 with a couple guys graduating, so he'd likely be a top 10 Yankees prospect. Got a lot of upside as pitcher. And Will Warren. Pretty sizable package. Now, if I'm the Cardinals, I'm taking that Royals package. But those would be my 3 best locations based on Googling Brendan Donovan trade rumors and seeing those 3 teams come up more consistently than any others.
Yeah. Also, Missouri, the craziest state to have 2 Major League Baseball teams.
Crazy.
The states with 2 Major League Baseball teams, 2 or more, California, New York, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and I think Missouri, and that's it.
Yeah. Kansas City, Missouri, and
St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He could stay in Missouri. That's interesting.